what's happening, guys? Back in January 2011 I was very pleased when I first seen this picture. This was the first official image of Andrew Garfield in his Spider-Man costume for the brand new Mark Webb's The Amazing Spider-Man reboot. The reason I was so excited was not so much about the costume itself, but a little bit details right here. Of course, we're talking about the web shooters. Yes, I was very pleased along with millions of other Spidey fans that Spidey will actually have a mechanical web shooters in the brand new Spider-Man reboot. And just recently, in a recent interview with Yahoo Movies, Brian Michael Bendis, the famous comic book artist and writer, reveals how exactly he helped Sony to choose between the organic and mechanical web shooters. Apparently, when Sony were developing The Amazing Spider-Man 1 with Mark Webb, they found themselves stuck upon one serious question: whether to use mechanical web shooters or organic, just like Tobey's Spidey in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man trilogy. Actually, the idea of the organic web shooters came straight from James Cameron's Spider-Man script, a movie which has never been made, but still, this is one of the few details which Avi Arad, along with other employees at Sony, actually decided to take from Cameron's script and adapt into Sam Raimi's brand new Spider-Man trilogy. Now, getting back to the topic, according to Brian Michael Bendis, at some point Sony called him and asked him to attend a meeting where they actually discussed what web shooters to use. Here's what he says about it, quote, "Before The Amazing Spider-Man 1, they sat me down in Amy Pascal's office with this big room full of producers and writers and directors, and she looked at me and said, organic web shooters or mechanical web shooters? I said, mechanical, and half the table said, god damn it. They were mad because I was clearly the deciding vote, even thought I didn't know that. So when I see the mechanical web shooters, I feel a little happiness. I feel like I did something good in the world." Now, how about that? We should be thankful to Brian Michael Bendis for actually suggesting the mechanical web shooters in Sony's Spider-Man reboot, Mark Webb's brand new Spider-Man reboot, which at that time was called the Untitled Spider-Man Reboot. Of course, this is very exciting, but it's also very disturbing. It just proves that Avi Arad, along with the other high-position Sony employees, actually were already having problems with Spider-Man reboot before The Amazing Spider-Man 1, before The Amazing Spider-Man 2. They were stuck upon such question, and they actually approached Brian Michael Bendis, who undeniably definitely is an expert in terms of Spidey, but still, why would you do it? Don't you know how to please the fans? Don't you know that the mechanical web shooters is actually a way to go, right? Spidey relied on his mechanical web shooters for over 50 years now, so plus they wanted to make the Amazing Spider-Man trilogy differ from Sam Raimi's as far as possible, as much as possible. They wanted to make a difference, so obviously one of the biggest decisions would be to go from organic to mechanical web shooters. That's how you imply that it's a brand new thing. That's how you actually bring people back to the theater and explain to them this isn't really a reboot. It's more of just another adaptation of Spider-Man's story. Thanks again to Brian Michael Bendis for bringing the mechanical web shooters on the big screen, for actually giving the final decision, and for actually helping Sony with such a kinda important and then kinda silly advice. I mean, thank God Avi Arad didn't ask whether Spider-Man should wear green and yellow costume instead of blue and red. Anyway, January is the month. We are very excited. As you guys know, we are waiting for some news from Sony, or at least a press release regarding what happens to Spider-Man franchise. And maybe in February, if the meeting with Marvel and Sony will actually happen, as it was rumored from all the emails, we might actually get something even more exciting, which is Spider-Man joining the MCU. Until then, tell me what you guys think, stay tuned for more, and I'm off for now.